Hello and welcome to another Cloudwards video. My name is Mauricio and today I'll be comparing two of the best VPN providers, ExpressVPN and NordVPN. We've been doing VPN reviews and comparisons for a few years now, and when I looked at our published videos, I saw that it was really time for an update. ExpressVPN and NordVPN are two of the best virtual private networks, or VPNs for short. A VPN's basic task is to hide your IP address and encrypt your traffic, and this protects your privacy, but it can also help you access content in other countries by changing your location virtually. NordVPN and ExpressVPN both fit that description, but they're two very different services. I'd compare Express to an iPhone and NordVPN to Android. ExpressVPN is sleek and polished, it's super easy to use, and it's powerful without being overwhelming for the user. On the other hand, NordVPN throws in everything but their kitchen sink, even if it's, well, to the detriment of usability, and that's kind of a running theme that you'll keep seeing throughout this video. That said, ExpressVPN commands a premium price and NordVPN is a bit cheaper, but you get what you pay for. Today we'll pit the two VPN giants against each other in 9 rounds, and the one with the most wins will come out on top. But before we get started, I want to quickly remind you to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon to get updated on all things VPN and cloud storage. This video is also going to be on the longer side, so you can use the timestamps in the description to skip to the parts you care about the most. So with that out of the way, let's just jump right in, shall we? We'll start off this battle with a features comparison, and this is the first place where you'll see that iPhone versus Android or Mac versus Windows dynamic play out. So ExpressVPN doesn't really offer that many features, at least not on the face of it. For example, it offers obfuscation on all of its servers that hides the fact that you're using a VPN, which can help with accessing the internet in places where VPNs are banned. All of its servers are also optimized for torrenting. However, none of that is visible anywhere in the interface. What I'm getting at here is that ExpressVPN offers all this functionality without you having to move a muscle. You just start up the VPN and all these useful features are already running in the background. Compare that to NordVPN, which offers only a small selection of obfuscated servers, and while it does support torrenting on all servers, only a few are actually optimized for it. So if you want obfuscation, you have to manually select an obfuscated server, or if you want to torrent, you have to connect to a torrenting server. I'm only going to point this out because looking at it from a consumer point of view, you might see that it offers this feature and, well, and basically think that it's a better choice, when the reality of it is that it's just another complication in what could be a much more straightforward service. That said, NordVPN still offers more features than ExpressVPN, and that can be attractive if you're a bit more, say, tech savvy. For example, NordVPN has a feature called Dark Web Monitor that screens the dark web to find out if your email has been leaked. It also has a built-in ad and malware blocker called Threat Protection. And ExpressVPN has its own malware blocker, though it doesn't block ads like NordVPN does. NordVPN also lets you connect multiple devices into a local area network, or LAN, via what it calls MeshNet. This can give you remote access to files hosted on those devices, and you can even play multiplayer LAN games with friends. And needless to say, though, this requires more than a bit of setup, so it's not really something the casual user can really take advantage of. Of course, there's more to both VPNs than this. For example, ExpressVPN has a built-in password manager called ExpressVPN Keys, and NordVPN has a few more specialty servers. For sake of brevity, we won't waste your time with those, but in any case, it's safe to say that NordVPN is the winner in this round and take the first point. If you want to learn more about these VPN features, you can always check out the written version of this article in the description box below. There's an in-depth guide that you can follow, and then you know how it works basically. Now, let's talk about security. Security-wise, both services are on about even ground. They both offer modern VPN protocols and encryption ciphers. For example, they both let you use the standard OpenVPN protocol with AES 256 encryption. However, they each have their own custom protocols as well. ExpressVPN built its lightweight protocol from scratch, and it's based on lightweight code to allow for maximum security and speed. You can use it with either AES or SHA-20 encryption. On the other hand, NordVPN's custom protocol called NordLynx is a modded version of the WireGuard protocol, and it uses the SHA-20 encryption protocol. Unfortunately, NordVPN had a server breach in 2018. Thankfully, because of NordVPN's use of rotating encryption keys as well as its no-log policy, no user data was actually compromised. Following the breach, NordVPN cut ties with the server provider that let the breach happen, and it audited its entire network for similar vulnerabilities, and it strengthened its overall server security. Still, the fact that this breach happened loses NordVPN the point in this important round, and ExpressVPN evens the score for now. Now we come to the privacy round. Right off the bat, we can see a bunch of similarities between ExpressVPN and NordVPN. For starters, they both have a strict no-logs policy. This means they keep no records of what sites you visit or anything else related to your traffic, ensuring your online privacy. To guarantee this claim, both VPNs use exclusively RAM-based servers. Unlike a typical hard drive, RAM can't store any data after powering down. This means that every reboot, all data on the server gets wiped. However, I don't really like how NordVPN feature works. I'm talking about the threat protection antivirus. To block malicious websites, it checks them against a list of known bad sites, and this requires that you put a bit of trust in the VPN. Of course, I trust NordVPN, but as a reviewer, I'm aware that it's always better that a service requires as little trust as possible from its users. And if this review happened last year, that will be the end of it, and ExpressVPN would win this round too, but ExpressVPN isn't without its faults either. In early 2022, it was acquired by Cape Technologies, and Cape used to go by the name of Crossrider, and its claim to fame was that it created a platform for making browser toolbars. Unfortunately, the platform was used to create and spread malware, and although Crossrider didn't actively participate in creating that malware, it did nothing to stop its platform from being used for malicious purposes. It has since turned a new page by focusing on cybersecurity with some pretty high-profile VPN acquisitions. Its roster includes VPNs like CyberGhost, Private Internet Access, and ZenMate, and now ExpressVPN. Still, the acquisition left a sour taste in my mouth, as I'm sure it did for many users. This leaves ExpressVPN and NordVPN about even in the privacy department, so we'll call this round a tie, shall we? Now that you know what both services offer, let's look at what they cost. First off, both services are a bit pricey on a monthly plan, though that's not really out of the ordinary. As with any VPN, you get the real value out basically when you go to the longer plans, which come at a steep discount. Both services also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, and this entitles you to a refund within the first month for any reason whatsoever, no questions asked. It's obvious that NordVPN is the cheaper service. They offer usually very steep discounts for the 2-year plan, and the best you can do is actually click on the description link for NordVPN, and that gives you the current pricing. But you can get it for as little as $3 a month if you commit to 2 years. ExpressVPN just basically cannot match these prices. Even the 6 months plan brings the cost down to only $10. Its longest plan, which is for a year, costs almost $7. So you get 3 months free with that plan, but it's still more expensive than NordVPN's 1-year plan, and it's twice the price of Nord's 2-year plan. Now, I personally believe that ExpressVPN is still worth the price tag. It's just a much more polished VPN, and the price matches that premium experience. But still, NordVPN is just flat out cheaper. So it takes the point in this round, taking the lead going into the next round. Exciting! Speed is a very important aspect of a VPN. Now, all VPNs reduce your internet speed. There is no getting around that. But some VPNs reduce it by such a small margin that you can't really notice a difference, and that's the case with both ExpressVPN and NordVPN. Here at Cloudwards, we run automated speed tests every day, and we use those results to compare how these two VPNs perform. We ran tests on servers around the world. For context, in these tests, the US speeds represent a situation where you're connecting to the nearest server, while the worldwide speeds are an average of all other tests. Let's look at the US results first. As you can see from the table on screen, there's not a lot of difference between the two services. They perform the same in terms of latency and upload speeds. NordVPN does lead the download race by a hair, but the difference is really negligible. But what about when you connect farther away from home? Well, the difference starts to become a bit more obvious here. NordVPN maintains pretty much the same download and upload speeds, which is honestly very impressive. Latency takes a dip, but that's to be expected when you're connecting to faraway servers. On the other hand, ExpressVPN maintained its high upload speeds, but its download speeds dropped by almost 20% compared to the nearest server. Latency was also higher than we'd like. I think it's obvious that NordVPN wins this round, but if you're only planning on connecting to nearby servers, you won't go wrong with ExpressVPN either. Streaming. There isn't much to separate ExpressVPN and NordVPN when it comes to streaming, so we'll keep the segment short and simple. Both VPNs can easily unblock streaming platforms, including major ones like Netflix, HBO, Hulu, Disney+, Amazon Prime, as well as smaller country-specific streaming sites. Plus, they're both fast enough so that you can basically comfortably stream in full HD without noticing any kind of buffering or lag. The one thing that might set them apart is that ExpressVPN has servers in more countries than NordVPN, which would allow you to access content and streaming services in those countries as well, but we have a separate round for that, and since this one is focused on purely unblocking and streaming performance, we'll call it a tie and award 1 point each. Now for the torrenting round, we ran a series of speed tests which included downloading a 2 GB file via a torrenting client. For NordVPN, we ran 2 separate sets of tests so we can see what kind of impact its dedicated torrenting servers have on performance. From the regular speed tests, we expected NordVPN to knock this one out of the park, but that wasn't quite the case. As you can see from the test results on the screen, ExpressVPN beat NordVPN handily. NordVPN's peer-to-peer servers did improve speeds, but only by around 3 seconds or so on average. We also noticed instability in NordVPN's connection speed. While downloading the torrent, NordVPN reached a higher peak speed, almost matching our unprotected speed at times, but those moments were few and far between. This led to a slower overall download. So, what's the deal? Well, we mentioned that ExpressVPN's entire server network is optimized for torrenting, while Nord only optimizes its peer-to-peer servers for the task. But in our testing, we found that not only are Nord's regular servers not optimized for torrenting, sometimes they straight up fail. At one point in our tests, while torrenting on a regular NordVPN server, our connection speed ground to a halt. We were still connected to the internet, but there seemed to be some kind of bottleneck holding our speed down. And without pausing the torrent, we disconnected from NordVPN and the problem was solved. Because of these surprising results, NordVPN loses this round and ExpressVPN gets the point for torrenting. Server locations. In this round, we'll look at how many countries each VPN covers and how many server locations you can connect to. Let's start with NordVPN. It covers 59 countries with locations in 81 cities. However, it goes a step further by letting you choose the individual server to connect to, which means that you technically have over 5,500 options for where to connect. Still, its worldwide server distribution isn't very good. As you can see from the table on screen, it heavily favors Europe and North America, while offering only one server location for the entire continent of Africa. On the other hand, ExpressVPN covers a whopping 94 countries with 148 server locations, plus its server distribution is much better than NordVPN. Besides covering pretty much all of Europe, it has also servers in nearly every South American country, covers Asia quite well, and it even has 4 locations in Africa, and those are well dispersed geographically through the continent. It's clear that ExpressVPN wins this round, evening out the score as we lead into the final stretch of this comparison. Let's look at user-friendliness. We already talked about this a bit in the features round, but now we'll take a closer look into the two VPN interfaces, starting with ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN's sleek interface leaves no room for user error. There aren't many options to fiddle around with, and its apps, both on mobile and desktop, are pretty much just one big on button and a server list. At first glance, you might think that's a bit too simple, but it's really all you need. ExpressVPN takes care of everything you need behind the scenes and folds features like obfuscation and torrenting into its entire server network. Contrast this to what we said earlier about NordVPN. Although its world map interface is very attractive looking, it's not very practical unless you know your way around a map. Don't get me wrong, I love NordVPN too, but ExpressVPN is just better designed. When I recommend a VPN to friends, family, whatever, I don't want them to be asking me about what all these features do or why they can't use a certain feature or that feature or whatever. That said, NordVPN is without a doubt a very powerful VPN with a lot of features, but I just wish those features were easier to use. ExpressVPN gets another point for its polished user experience, which leaves only 1 point up for grabs. This means that the next round decides if the match ends in a tie or if ExpressVPN wins. Let's look at customer support. For our final round, we compared each VPN's customer support options and how well they respond. Both of them offer the same options, namely email support, a knowledge base with fairly detailed topics, as well as live chat support. However, ExpressVPN just fares a little bit better. See, NordVPN uses a chatbot as a gateway to its live chat support. To access a human agent, you need to type in a keyword like human or live agent, and that's not really explained anywhere. So if you're not in the know, you might not be able to contact a support agent as easily as you can with ExpressVPN. And NordVPN really needed this last point for a tie, but in the end it loses this round as well. As a result, ExpressVPN takes the round and overall win with 7 points to NordVPN's 5. So, let's sum it all up, shall we? NordVPN took an early lead with a win for the sheer amount of features it offers. ExpressVPN took the win in a security round, mostly because of NordVPN's 2018 server breach, and the two traded blows in the privacy round where we found room for improvement for each of them. But NordVPN took another point for pricing thanks to its cost being a bit easier to swallow. It also won the round for speed, yet surprisingly lost the torrenting round due to its unstable speeds while torrenting. Both VPNs performed about the same for streaming, but ExpressVPN's user-friendliness and excellent customer support helped it push past NordVPN and clinch the overall win with 7 points to 5. But even though the math works out in ExpressVPN's favor, that doesn't mean it's the right VPN for you. After all, it is pretty pricey, and NordVPN might be the better option if you're on a tight budget. Plus, if you're a tech geek and like to fiddle around with options and settings, then NordVPN offers that and much more. Then again, if you're not very tech savvy, ExpressVPN's straightforwardness is definitely an advantage you can't ignore. Plus, the overall experience is simply much more polished than NordVPN. It's what I like to call grandma proof. Whatever your use case, there's no setup required, there's no need to turn on options like specialty servers or anything. Just push the on button and you're basically all set. That's it for our comparison of ExpressVPN and NordVPN. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please give this video a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for more videos like this. We also do detailed written reviews on Cloudwards, where we'll leave the link always here in the description box so you can read it on your own pace, plus our ExpressVPN and NordVPN reviews, and also the speed test that I mentioned in the video. If you have any feedback for us, feel free to drop us a comment. Our team always reads your comments and we try to reply and answer all your questions you have about the services, about anything you hear on these videos. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.